Welcome to Chat with Dr. Kat. I'm Dr. Kat. Nice to see you today. This podcast is all about New Year's goals, New Year's resolution, all of that. So I do wish you a happy New Year, even though we are maybe a day ahead. But happy New Year 2026. Wow. I can't believe that, 2026. Wow. Anyway, happy New Year to all of you. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for sending in different topics to chatwithdrkat.com. Please keep those coming in, especially for this new year. Part of my resolution is to start including guests onto the show. So please, if you are interested, have a topic you would like to discuss, or you have an expertise that you'd like to discuss, please let me know. Send it in. Please include your name and email address and different ways to get in contact with you. For people who just want to put in different thoughts, feelings, opinions, write it in anonymously or include your name or email address. Up to you. Again, I'm Dr. Kat, and welcome today. So, as always, no fluff, no judgment, just real talk that leads to real change. So, New Year's. Why is New Year's such a big deal in people's lives? It's not just about maybe going out for a party or just the flipping of a calendar, but it's something that creates change. And sometimes you don't think it's that big of a change, but it's a small, subtle change. Here's the other thing that I want you to think about, that sometimes there is a difference between intention and impact. Why is that a strong statement? Because we can have all the best intentions in the world, but if those intentions don't lead to an impact in our life, then they're just kind of thoughts. And thoughts are okay, but we want to lead to change. And sometimes change needs to be in small steps, and that's okay. It's actually kind of great. All right, so here's what I suggest when we come to the new year. We all talk about resolutions. Maybe people want to start exercising. Maybe people want to change a job. Maybe people want to find a relationship. Maybe they want to have a family. Maybe they want to move. Maybe they want to lose some weight. There's a lot of different things that people come up with resolutions. So let's map out a plan for your resolution. That's what today's podcast is going to be about. What I'd like you to do is think about it this way. Now, this is kind of a fun thing you can do, is that when you think about it, we're at New Year's, right? New Year's. 4 months, exactly 4 months later, we have April Fools. So a fun thing to do is maybe set your goals. Now, this is kind of a strong statement, but if you want to create real change, let's look at it. And don't take me as direct as I'm going to sound right now. But in 4 months, once you get to April Fool's Day, do you want to be the fool who did not do any of the resolution, or do you want to be somebody who's created change? So this is what I recommend. Don't make such huge resolutions, or make a couple of huge resolutions and a lot of little resolutions. Now, this is what I recommend. You sit down and you start looking at the resolutions you want to create. Put them into 2 different columns. One column, maybe write out some big changes that you want to have occur over this year. Job change, moving to a house, new house, moving to a different state, different country, finding a relationship, all of those different things. Now, once you look at that list, I want you to step back and look, are those goals feasible to be accomplished in 1 year? Now, if you're somebody that does not have maybe a savings account put aside yet, but you're working really, really hard at savings, maybe 1 year is not enough time to put aside to buy a house. Maybe that's not possible. So I want you to really look at your goals and say, is this feasible? Someone will say, oh, by the end of 2026, I want to be married, but you hadn't met anybody yet. Could it happen? Possibly. You could meet somebody on New Year's Eve party and decide, wow, this is really great. And by the end of the year, it could happen. Or it could not. So look at what's feasible and the things that you have to do in order to make that happen. So start looking at your list, okay? Look at your list. See what's feasible. Then on the other side of the list, okay, come up with the small steps that you'll need to be doing every month. At least start with the first 4 months. So January, February, March, April. In those first 4 months, what baby steps do you need to be taking in order to accomplish these goals? So let's go with another one. Say you want to exercise every day for 30 minutes a day. That's a realistic goal. That's something that could happen. So what is it that you need to be doing along the way to make that happen? So in column number 2, do you need to come up with an exercise plan? Maybe it's just walking every day for 30 minutes. That could be great. If you think that walking every day or exercising every day on the starting gate is a little too much, maybe the first month, I want to be exercising 3 to 4 days a week. Great. Month 2, you want to now be exercising 4 to 5 days a week. Great. Month 3, maybe you're at that point where you could be walking every day or exercising every day. So I hope you're starting to see this pattern. The first step is creating your plan of action. What do you want to do with change? Now, on a little side note, New Year's is just a great opportunity because it's new, a new year. But let me tell you something. We don't want to get caught up in, well, I was supposed to start my diet on Monday. It's Wednesday. I messed up. I'll start again on Monday. Why did Monday become the only day that you can start change? Not true. Say you're on a diet. On Wednesday, you mess up. That's okay. Maybe Wednesday evening you eat healthy, and now from moving on, you're eating healthy. You don't have to wait an entire week, right? That's what we call rationalization. So this is a clinical term I want you to think about. Rationalization is something in our mind that allows us to go back to old behavior. We rationalize. Well, I messed up this day. I'll start next Wednesday. Well, this year is over. I guess I'll start again next year. Sometimes people say, I'm going to do dry January where they don't drink for the month. Well, it's January 5th. I just had a drink. Oh, well, maybe I'll start February. Why not do January 6th and go to February 6th? Easy solution. So rationalization keeps us from accomplishing our goals. So that's what you have to be really, really aware of. That's why I say map it out. Have an actual written plan. So again, piece of paper, a column. I would do pen to paper rather than online typing, but if you'd prefer, you could do that. I just feel that the brain processes differently when you do pen to paper. So first column are your actual goals. Now they can be large goals, they could be smaller goals, and categorize them by larger goals and smaller goals. On the next column, write out the small steps that are going to be needed to be taken in order to achieve those goals on a monthly basis. Here's another thing you can do. I really like this one. So this is an activity, a technique, where you take 4 envelopes. 4 regular envelopes, okay? And with each one, you're going to label month 1, month 2, month 3, and month 4, okay? So after each month, you open up your envelope and see what you have written down. Now you complete all these in January, and you write down, month 1, I would like to accomplish this by the end of January. So when you go into January, at the end of January, open it up and you see, did I meet my goals or did I not? And if you didn't, that's okay. You just have to go into your next envelope and remodify. Remodify it, change it, make changes. Here's the thing. I want you to realize is that just because things don't work out the way you want them to, doesn't mean you can't step back and say, wow, this isn't working. I can modify it and I can change it. And you can change it today. Change it today. Make a difference. So, resolutions are important. It also keeps us in a place of constantly wanting to change. Change is hard. Here's another little technique that you can try. You know, I use this in my practice all the time. Fold your hands this way. Now, I'm being mindful. I'm putting this hand here. This hand comes up. Now, what I want you to do is now change it. Now, this is where I'm comfortable. So I welcome you right now to fold your arms in a comfortable way. Okay? So if I now change it into the different way, it would be like this. The opposite. Feels funny. Feels awkward. Doesn't feel normal. Feels weird. Some of you may even struggle with trying to find the other way of doing it, right? You may find it hard to do it. Now see, the moment I went back to my regular way, feels comfortable. Old shoe, feels comfortable. It's what I know. So in challenging myself to fold my arms and do it the opposite way, that's change. Change is hard. So you can see, even with something as simple as your arms changing, you can see change is hard. You have to be conscious of it. Now, if I said to you, don't ever go back to that comfortable way of crossing your arms, you got to do the new way. Here's something you should know. Eventually, the one way that now feels awkward, the changed way feels awkward, eventually it will feel normal and comfortable. And the old way that you thought was comfortable is now uncomfortable. That's what change is all about. As human beings, change is very hard for us. So finding different ways to promote change is important to us. And we've found things over the years in order to create change. This is what we do. So, New Year's resolution is a big one for everyone. Everyone is Happy New Year. We want something new. Now we have a way in order to create that change. So, find the time. Make it a ritual. Maybe after this podcast, sit down. Create that list. You know, another thing I like to bring into my practice and I like to do myself is to do a vision board. I know it sounds a little hokey. I know. And maybe a little too crafty. Maybe. But I have to say, you sit down with a bunch of magazines and you decide, these are the things that I want to do. Maybe you're visualizing a new home. Maybe you're visualizing travel, a vacation, new ways to do things. Maybe there's something that you want. Maybe there's these pair of shoes or an outfit that you want. Or maybe there's certain things that you want to achieve for the year or life. You know, again, get a vision board. Try not to get a massive poster board. Get a nice size board so it's doable. Divide it in half. Maybe one half is about what you want to achieve in your life, and the other half is what you want to achieve in this year. The only way for change to occur is if we have awareness. Now, for some people, they may say, wow, I'm happy with my life. That's wonderful. We still need change. We need change to keep us going, because if not, which I will be discussing in another podcast, you're going to see that if we don't have enough change in our life, life goes by way too fast. We need to create change so that we feel like we're doing more. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but when you go on vacation and you're going from one event to the next event, to the next monument, to the next thing you're looking at, the days seem long. Maybe you even say to yourself, wow, we've been on vacation for 4 days, but I feel like I've been doing this a week and a half. Well, it's because you have change in your life. Okay? So we're going to be talking about that more in depth. Let's go back to New Year's. Why is New Year's so important? New, change, New year. I have a new chance at life. Now, is there a New Year police? Is there a New Year person that comes in your life and says, hey, you didn't accomplish? No, not at all. But take the opportunity. Take the opportunity for change. Again, change starts today. It can start tomorrow and it can start the next couple of days. But even sitting down and writing out a list of what you want to have different in your life, there's something about that commitment to writing it on paper. There's something about writing each individual envelope of what you want to achieve every month and looking at it every month. Did I meet my goals? Maybe you open up and you say, wow, I did that baby step. That one. You're crossing it off. So then when you look at the next envelope, you can actually go into that one, make changes there. So each month you're going through your envelopes and realizing that you've accomplished things so you can change and modify. It helps to keep you accountable for your own change. So, like I said in the beginning, it doesn't have to be New Year's in order to create change. It doesn't have to be a Monday. It doesn't have to be anything. But New Year's is upon us. 2026 is upon us. Let's use this opportunity to create change in our life. Maybe something simple as I want to be more kind, help create that ripple. Maybe it's something about being nice to a neighbor. Maybe it's meeting your neighbors. Maybe it's going out every day and saying something kind to somebody. You know, I bring up this story a lot, and it's a true story with my youngest. You know, my oldest does it as well too, but my youngest really embraced this. We were at the store, and I always role modeled for them saying things kind to other people, a compliment, anything kind to another person. And I remember she was probably about 7 years old. And we were at the register, and this woman started talking, again, occupational hazard. I don't know if it's my aura, my energy. Maybe it's just my willingness to talk to people. You know, she had asked me how I was doing, and I said, which is a lot of times my normal thing to say is, you know, things are great, not so great, life, ups, downs, life. And it creates a thought in people, and they're like, wow, that's really true. Then I say, oh, how are you doing? Well, I'm kind of going through a lot. And I remember she kind of unloaded a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. And my daughter looked up at her and she said, you have beautiful hair. You're so pretty. And the woman said, oh my goodness. She says, thank you so much. She looked at me, she goes, God, I needed that today. That was beautiful. Wow, amazing. Now look, I felt unbelievably wonderful about my daughter, but I didn't stop for a second to not, I stood for a second. Sorry, that's the opposite. I stood for a second there and I thought, let me soak this in. This was beautiful. When we got to the car, I said to my daughter, hey, that was really beautiful what you did. And she said, you know, she needed a compliment. Just, you know, I love that. I love that. She recognized that another human being needed some kind words. And that little bit of what she said created change. So we don't know if later on in the day, that woman was talking to a friend, her partner, and she says, you know, God, I was having this rough day. And all of a sudden, this little girl looked at me and she gave me a compliment and it made my day. So, Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year. Have a wonderful 2026. Remember, write down your list. Split the paper in half. Your big goals and not so big goals, but goals you want to achieve for 2026 and moving forward. On this other side of the paper, what are the baby steps that you need to do in order to create those goals? Take 4 envelopes. You could do more. This kind of takes you to April, and you can write down what you want to achieve every single month. Each month, look at all the envelopes to see where you're at. cross off what you've accomplished. Be an active participant in your life to create change. Remember, intention is much different than impact. The little things that you can do to create change can be the most important. So, I'm Dr. Kat. This has been Chat with Dr. Kat. Happy New Year.